Hi. So, first off, I moved. The move is done. I'm in my new office. It's pretty empty right now, as you can tell by the fact that there's nothing behind me. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about what I've got going on, which is the fact that I am doing in November 2 game jams. I have 2 teams that I'm on. The team that I made past and present for the Brackies 2022 game jam, we are doing Game Off 2022 in November, from November 1st to December 1st, and I'm very excited about that. But also, the team that I am making my visual novel with decided to do a game jam as well. However, it's a self-imposed game jam that is also going to be roughly from November 1st to December 1st. And that one is the one that I'm talking about today. Because the game jam that my visual novel team is doing is self-imposed, we decided to start brainstorming before the first. And that is what I am going to go into now. Before I dive into the devlog, I should introduce the team working on this Not a Jam game jam. So, I'm Danny and I'm the team lead. I'm going to be doing the art and helping with the writing. Then we have Im, who is our fantastic writer, and our programmer, Celeste, who will for this project be using Godot. And lastly, we have Steven, who is our additional artist for the jam. All 4 of us are going to be collaborating on the game design, story, and feel of this project. And as for our development team name, we are called Serious Whimsy. Okay, so here's what we have so far. After some brainstorming about what we wanted the game to be about, we came up with a few ideas. The first one was like a mashup of Alice in Wonderland and Red Riding Hood, and then we decided that was too cliche. And then we tried to come up with some other ideas that didn't really stick, and we landed on basically a vibe, which is tiny little like fairy people. Like, I was inspired by the Legend of Zelda Minish Cap Game Boy game, and I just really liked the idea of like your little sprite walking around and like things that are small are big, you know, like blades of grass and flowers just being huge. So we sort of started brainstorming more on that because it felt really solid. And we also sort of compiled the list of things we wanted and then didn't want for the game, like as far as themes and gameplay and things like that go. And we settled on wanting to incorporate visual novel aspects with an RPG, possibly a walking simulator with some puzzle solving, but definitely nothing with like farming or crafting or mining, none of that stuff. And yeah, so I got to work on the character designs. So here's the character designs. I'm sorry I didn't record sketching them. As soon as I finished the sketches and the colors, I was like, I forgot to record. But rest assured there was no super interesting process for this. I just drew the characters and was like, that looks good. So our writer, Im, had the idea that the player character could be a child and they get like quests or errands to run from their parents. Her mom is a baker and her dad is a seamstress. Because they're little tiny people, I wanted them to incorporate things that are small in their character designs. Also, if you're wondering, the dad is absolutely based off of the dad from Ponyo. Speaking of Ghibli movies, that's absolutely an inspiration for the visual theme. I was thinking about the visual style and how beautiful and like rounded everything feels, and I really want to bring that element into this game. This game which we don't have a name for yet. But, you know, we're still in the pre-production stage, and we kind of decided after throwing out a bunch of different ideas that the right name would come to us in time. So here's the finished designs for the player character and the player character's parents. I'm very proud of the results. I really feel that the character designs are clear and concise and their personalities shine through, and I'm really excited to draw sprites for them. It was at this point that we decided not to go with pixel art at any point in the game, so then I drew a very rough mock-up of what I thought the game would look like as far as the positioning of the UI elements and the sprites. Then as a test, I did a front idle animation, which was a pain because I couldn't export as a sprite sheet. I had to export as an image sequence and then find online something that I could make a sprite sheet with. So that's going to be an adjustment for me. It really was just a mock-up. I'm gonna have to draw it again. So I made a Google Doc to brainstorm more, and we quickly came up with a list of NPC ideas. I could have gone ahead and done more animation, but I felt like doing something a little more in my wheelhouse and less frustrating. So I started working on the character designs for the NPCs. As is usually the case when I start designing characters, I start thinking of their personalities and their relationships with everyone else. The guy I'm drawing now is basically the professional grown-up version of what the player character is, which is a courier or a runner who gets supplies throughout the house and delivers it to the community of wee people who live, you know, in the walls or in the crawl space, places like that. I decided as I was drawing him some really fun stuff that I don't know if I want to spoil or not, but rest assured, something queer is afoot. Next up we have the mechanic, who was so fun to draw. I absolutely cannot wait to draw finished sprites of this character. It was a lot of fun to play on the sort of mad scientist vibes, and I thought it would be cool to give her a cane that was actually, you know, one of those L-shaped screwdriver things that you get when you assemble furniture that you order online. I think it's really fun to have a mechanic character who is not a man. I thought that was a little bit subversive, but still very fun. For all of these characters, I enjoyed incorporating things that are everyday objects that are small on them. For the mechanic specifically, I gave her, of course, the cane, but also a button for a belt, and a sort of mechanic's fanny pack that has tiny screws. I don't know where or how she has glasses. I guess you're just gonna have to use suspension of disbelief for that one. Next up we have the rancher, who raises various insects and maybe a mouse. I found it kind of difficult working on this design because I couldn't figure out how I wanted him to look, and I think what I settled on was good enough. He has a bolo tie that is made of thread and a pinbacker, a cowboy hat which I imagine is popped off of some toy, it's probably plastic, and his belt is a zip tie. So I was able to incorporate a lot of things that I thought were good. I also gave him chaps, which was just for me. He's a friendly kind of guy. I feel like he has a praying mantis. Isn't that cool? Anyway, on to the next one. I had a strong idea for the gardener. I was very inspired by something M came up with, which was that the gardener lived in the crawl space under the house in a flower pot that had fallen underneath. And I thought that was just so cool. And so I sort of conceptualized this sweet old lady who uses a fork as a rake and tends to the house plants and various things, as well as growing smaller crops for the wee people to eat. I've drawn a lot of adults, but I think it's about time for a kid character, or at least a teenager. So I thought, since the gardener is kind of old, that she would need an apprentice who uses a teaspoon as a shovel. So I kept it simple, gave them some gloves and some shorts and a belt that is a shoelace tied around them. I imagine this character to be kind of quiet and broody, but definitely hardworking. Speaking of hardworking, the last character to draw is the doctor. Now this one was also kind of difficult because I didn't know where she was getting her equipment. As I was drawing her, I found that I was thinking a lot about Connie's mom from Steven Universe, Dr. Maheshwaran. So I changed the hairstyle a little bit to make the connection less obvious. I did give her a streak of gray in her hair though. I figure that her clothes are either from like Dr. Barbie or made specifically by the player character's dad, the tailor. Her shoes are absolutely Barbie heels though. I think I might make them hot pink. That's 6 more NPCs knocked out, and I think that's where I'm going to leave off as far as the art development goes. I'm very proud of all of these designs, and I'm excited to color and line them. I think I will do that on a live stream, so next devlog you might see footage from that, little VOD style. Okay, so that pretty much wraps it up for the first devlog. We got a lot of brainstorming and character design stuff done, and I think in the next one we are going to do more animations and perhaps actually get some stuff in Godot, as well as take a crack at writing and maybe some mapping out of backgrounds and stuff like that. Lots of interesting things. I know I said that it wasn't going to start until November, but obviously this was a lie. That was a lie. So tune in next time to see what we make. Bye.